Make no mistake about it, Mayor Menino's inclusionary development program is working. Hundreds of middle-class people have been able to buy condo units in the heart of the city at huge discounts. But a joint investigation by Fox Undercover and Commonwealth Magazine reveals there's one special group of residents benefiting more than any other: city employees and their relatives. How would you like to live here in this luxury condo development on Beacon Hill and pay only $161,000 for a unit, a fraction of what your well-to-do neighbors paid? Or here on the edge of Boston Harbor with skyline views for just $148,000, less than half what your condo is actually worth. Housing bargains like these can be yours if you get lucky in the city's inclusionary development program.
The goal of the Affordable Housing Program is to continue to create a range of affordable housing opportunities.
The city's Fair Housing Commission Director, Victoria Williams, oversees the marketing of these affordable condo units and the lotteries held to select the buyers.
I think they're in great demand. As you know, there's a housing shortage in the city.
To be eligible, you need to have an annual household income roughly between $70,000 and $100,000. So who's getting these rare bargain rate condo units? We launched a joint project with investigative reporters at Commonwealth Magazine, and what we found may or may not surprise you. A disproportionate number of these affordable units are finding their way into the hands of city employees and relatives of city employees. We focused on 5 centrally located and desirable projects which are part of the Inclusionary Development Program. Here's what we found. At Bowden Place on Beacon Hill, 21% of the affordable units were sold to city employees. At Carlton Wharf in East Boston, 16% went to city employees and relatives of city employees. Atrium Lofts, also in East Boston, 12%. The McKellen Building in South Boston, 10%. And the Reserve Channel Building in South Boston, a remarkable 42%. Overall, in these 5 projects, 26 of the 127 affordable units went to city employees and relatives of city employees. That's 1 out of every 5 units.
I really think that it indicates that there's a fundamental problem.
Shirley Kressel is a co-founder of the Alliance of Boston Neighborhoods.
Do you suspect that city employees and relatives of city employees have a leg up on getting these units?
Yes, I mean, it's not a suspicion that there's a rigging in the way that people think of, but clearly they have insider information. They know when things are coming up. They are familiar with the paperwork. They are familiar with the rules.
John Palmieri is the director of the Boston Redevelopment Authority, the agency Mayor Menino charged with running the affordable housing program. The BRA negotiates affordable housing plans with developers and gives final approval to the people who ultimately buy the units.
Is it possible that city employees and relatives of city employees have an inside track on getting these units?
I can't imagine that that is possible.
We asked him about the Reserve Channel Building in South Boston.
11 of the 26 units in that building going to either city employees or relatives of city employees. Should people be concerned about that?
Well, that seems like a high percentage, I'll admit. Although many city employees reside within South Boston and may be more likely to have applied for those units.
We also asked Palmieri about one affordable unit purchased by the cousin of Mayor Menino's top policy advisor, Michael Kanivi.
Is that a concern at all?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Boston's a relatively small city. Lots of people are related to people in government.
BRA officials denied our requests and requests by Commonwealth Magazine to look at the agency's records. Because of that, we don't know the full extent to which city employees and their relatives have benefited from the affordable housing program.
Do you think the public has a right to know how many city employees and relatives of city employees are living in these units?
I think the public has a right to know, and I think, yes, government should be an open government.
When we confronted Palmieri, he changed his tune.
The head of the Fair Housing Commission says the public has a right to know. Will you let us look at your records?
Well, listen, if the Fair Housing Commissioner is saying that, and she's a very competent woman, we trust her judgment, I'd be prone to say, let's do that. I happen to think that more information is better. Whenever you can release information, you ought to, and that transparency is something that we take very seriously.
Transparency, but at what cost? We followed up with the BRA chief on his offer to turn over what he himself conceded are public records. His staff responded with an email saying the agency will give us the files, but they'll cost us $47,000. You heard that right, $47,000. As for the cousin of Menino's top aide, Michael Kanivi, buying a unit, the mayor's spokeswoman says the arrangement was okayed by the State Ethics Commission. The BRA asked city employees and close relatives who win the housing lottery to file disclosure statements with the city clerk's office. To read more about this story in Commonwealth Magazine, go to its website, commonwealthmagazine.org. Tomorrow night at 10, a look at a little-known BRA legal maneuver that's turned into a money machine for the agency. If you have an idea for a Fox Undercover investigation, call us at 1-800-TV-FOX-25. I'm Mike Bodette for Fox Undercover.